Well, good morning, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from beautiful San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, and purposeful coach and speaker in the world. I hope you guys are fired up for this fabulous Friday. And I'd like to have a serious conversation with you this morning. And I would like to reference something, specifically if you are from the San Antonio area or the Texas area. So I'm going to precede this conversation with this reminder to you. If you remember when we had the flooding in Houston, okay, there was massive flooding in Houston several years ago, and what happened next was pretty scary when you think about the influence and the effect of conversation to actually create something that did not exist. And it was simply this: there was massive fear and media speak around there will be a shortage of gasoline. Do you remember the floods of Houston? There's a shortage of gasoline. We're gonna run out of gasoline. You better go get your gas now because there's a shortage of gasoline. Do you guys remember that? Do you remember the reality? There was no shortage of gasoline at all. The gasoline was fine. There was plenty of it everywhere. But what happened? What happened was people became gripped with fear. People panicked. People became inflamed with fear. And when people are inflamed with fear, they will make irrational decisions based on, there's two things that people say fear means. The popular one is it's false evidence appearing real. I like to rephrase it differently personally, and that is that it is feelings experienced aside from reality. F-E-A-R, feelings experienced aside from reality. In other words, you're feeling the thing as if it has happened, and yet it has not happened because that's not reality yet. Well, if you remember, everybody spoke so loud and so long and so hard about a shortage of gasoline that guess what happened? Everybody freaked out in town, everybody lost their minds, and the lines around the gas station perpetuated this fear, and guess what happened? We created our own shortage of gasoline. We created something that did not exist because of fear and because of the media and because of people getting inflamed, and guess what happened? Guess who benefited from that whole thing? The media. The media did. They were able to sell a lot of advertising because people were inflamed and people were freaking out. People were tripping out because, well, the floods in Houston have created a gas shortage. Go get your gas. And now everybody's scared to death that they're not going to have gas. Everybody's freaking out, and we were in a panic, and there was no gas shortage, and we created the gas shortage. We created that gas shortage, if you're from San Antonio, and we created something that did not exist. Well, I'm going to share this with you regarding the coronavirus. Same situation, ladies and gentlemen, same situation in this sense, okay? It's same situation in this sense, that the media, and sadly, political opponents are capitalizing on the potential to spread fear and panic to the masses, because fear and panic sells, and fear and panic can be leveraged to manipulate the minds of weak thinking individuals who do not do the research themselves, or at least at a minimum understand this reality. I'm going to take you to Alcoholics Anonymous real quick to give you a key to you being able to traverse your way through what may be coming towards the country in a way that has worked for decades upon decades. And it's this: God, grant me the serenity or the peace to accept the things I cannot change. We don't work at the CDC, y'all. We're not into disease control, y'all. We're not those people. We're the people in the country, correct? God, grant me the serenity, the peace to accept the things I cannot change. Here's where we come in. The courage to change what we can. The courage to change things we can. What can I do? What would be my part? Ooh, that's a little spooky. Have courage. Have courage. The courage to change the things we can. And here's the clincher, ladies and gentlemen, that separate the sheep from the goats, okay? Or the lions from the sheep. And the wisdom to know the difference. There's your serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity, the peace. Wouldn't you operate better if you were walking in a sense of peace? Wouldn't you show up for your family and your friends and your clients better if you walked around with peace? Wouldn't you show up on this planet better if you walked around with peace? Not a peace that comes from making sense of everything or everything going right in your life, but a peace that surpasses understanding, because although you do not know the future, you trust the one who holds the future and does know it. And you can have a certain peace in the midst of circumstances by choice. It's a decision. It's a decision you make that comes from an internal sense of trust. Grant me the serenity, the peace to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom to know the difference. So what is your part? What could be your part? Well, you are either speaking fear and panic around this coronavirus thing, or you are speaking faith around this thing. And what might that sound like? Now, by the way, for those of you that are not people of faith, hear me with this. Faith does not deny a problem's existence. It simply denies it a place of influence. Let me say that one more again for those of you who take notes in the morning. Faith does not deny a problem's existence. It simply denies it a place of influence. A place of influence in your mind, a place of influence in your heart, to cripple you and to paralyze you with fear so that you make unwise decisions. Does this make sense? So what can you do if you say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change? I, Steve Collins, cannot change what's going to happen with coronavirus. I cannot change anything. I don't work at the CDC. I'm not a research analyst or a scientist that has the capacity to the resources and revelation to know how to make that stuff work out. God, grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change. Give me peace about that I can't change. Give me courage to change what I can. What can I do? I can have conversations like this on the internet to tell people, don't trip. Don't get your panties in a bunch. Don't wig out. Because you have to remind yourself, you are not a person that can control this situation. And for you to go around and spread fear and panic is just going to do what we did in San Antonio. There's a gas shortage. There's a gas shortage. The floods in Houston have created a gas shortage. No, we didn't. The media, inflaming the masses to fear and panic, created a rush of people going to the gas stations, and then we ran out of gas. It was like stupid. We created the problem ourselves by freaking out about it. So you have the capacity not to freak out about it. You have the capacity to do this. If you believe the Bible, it says this. Doesn't matter who's in political office. Doesn't matter who. Clinton, Obama, Bush, Trump, doesn't matter who. It says, pray for those in authority over you, that they may govern well. You do have a part, and you may think it's insignificant, and I promise you it is not insignificant, and that is to do your part to pray. What might that prayer sound like? I'm really glad you asked. Gosh, you're so inquisitive this morning. It might sound like this. Father, as the God of this country, all of our money says, in God we trust, in you we trust. God bless America. You know, hey, we believe you are there. And here's what we ask. We ask you to open the minds of the people in leadership in this great country to collaborate and to come together to be able to discover a cure for this virus. Give us favor and give us grace on this nation that we may lead other nations by being able to take our resourcefulness and wisdom and researchers and come up with something that we can then distribute to the planet, that we in America might be a catalyst for change for the rest of the planet. Would you bless us with that, Lord? Would you give us favor with that? Would you help us to come up with that cure so that we can be a blessing to other nations? That's a good prayer right there. I'm just going to tell you right now. So grant me the serenity, the peace to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can. Have the courage to pray. Have the faith to pray. Have the faith to pray for your leaders. Have the faith to not let your mouth run about fear, fear, fear. Freak out, freak out, freak out. What's going to happen? I'm not saying, like I said earlier, faith doesn't deny a problem's existence. It simply denies it a place of influence to control your mind and cause you to make poor choices and bad decisions because of fear. The Lord didn't give you a spirit of fear, man, but of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. I got the Bible up in her so that I can live right, so that my audio matches my video, so I don't walk in fear. Okay? That doesn't mean that I don't do what I can do practically, because I do what I can do practically, and so can you. And the wisdom to know the difference. If you have the wisdom, you know the difference, what you can and cannot control, and what you cannot control, you can take to the good Lord in prayer and have a sense that you are contributing somehow with what you have by adding to your faith. If you talk about stuff in a panic mode, freak out mode, you are going to be the spreader of the coronavirus conversation. You will be a carrier of the coronavirus conversation. And it is either going to be a conversation of fear or a conversation of faith. You get to choose fear or faith. What will you choose? I hope you choose faith. Have a great day, guys.